All right, so we are going to dive into this topic right away and talking about what men really want. And because this is a conversation, I want us to be involved as well. All right, we're going to be talking about what men really want. I want to believe Pastor and Mrs. Onukwe are also online, so we are going to be talking in the course of the meeting. So let's kickstart this. Um, what do you think men really want? Because this is a conversation. This is a conversation. So I would like our participation. Have uh, I want to have your opinions. What do you think men really want? All right. If you raise your hand and you're ready to talk or indicate for me, I will unmute you and then you can talk. All right. You can unmute yourself and talk if you want to say something. Unmute yourself. What do you think men really want? All right.
Good evening, sir.
All right, Mrs. Miss or Mrs. Koforola. Cool. I've unmuted you. Can you go ahead? Let's hear you. Sorry, I didn't get that.
I think men want physical intimacy the most. That is what they really want. That's their number one need.
Okay. Are you married?
Yes, I am.
Oh, beautiful. So anybody that's going to talk, you first of all indicate for us whether you are single or married so that we know from which end you are talking from. So Mrs. Koforola says physical intimacy. Okay. All right. Beautiful. Is there any more contributions? Is Mrs. Unukwe there? Can I hear you? What do you think men really want?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Fine, thank you, sir. I think one of the number one need of a man is respect.
Okay.
Yes, in my opinion, it comes first before any other thing. Respect, respect, and what's the word now? And recognition as the head.
All right.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Recognition as the head, respect, and then we have physical intimacy. Any more contribution? If anybody wants to say something again? All right. Now let me ask this: Why do you say respect is the major need of a man, Mrs. Sonukwe? Do you have any illustration or an example of something that happened that you want to give?
The reason of that opinion is because I strongly believe that every man has a very strong ego. Every human being does, but for men, I think is high to an extent, and they want to be seen as an authority figure. They want to be deferred to. I think all men, yes. So for my husband, although he doesn't, he's not somebody that strongly says, oh, you need to respect me, you need to do this, you need to do that. But in conversations, in things that happen at home, you would see that if you don't respect him, the things that he naturally does, he won't do it. He would want to show you.
Okay.
He wants to show you. So
Okay.
that's why I say respect and recognition as the head, regardless of how pleasant or how nice the person is. If it's a man, you have to respect him and you have to defer to him as the head.
Okay, beautiful. So,
Yes.
so while he doesn't assert himself or show his ego in that sense, it shows when it's not recognized or when it's not respected. So there's a way things get across to show that it's not pleased with the way things are, right? That if I get it, that's what you're trying to say.
Yes, sir.
Okay, beautiful. Mrs. Koforola, do you have any illustration that you want to add or an experience?
I concur respect, but I also think physical intimacy, because I know that there are times men also want somebody to talk to. They want somebody they can feel warm with, somebody they are comfortable with. That's why I actually said physical intimacy. So it does not really, it does not mean only sex, but it also means somebody they can just be comfortable around with, somebody they're at peace with, even if somebody that has a listening ear. Yeah, that is why emotional affair happens, and all these things that leads to sex eventually. But I just, from what I've seen around, I know that some men, not all men, depending on the way you are, some men are very emotional and just want that closeness to somebody else. So once they're not getting it, they just look for it. Whether the person even respects them or not, they just look for that person that gives them listening ear.
Okay, beautiful. So, from what Mrs. Onukwe said and Mrs. Koforola, there seems to be an agreement on the fact that men have certain needs, and those needs are to be met. And in the event of not meeting that need, there might be a reaction. There might be some vulnerability leading to emotional affairs, which I think it's extremely true. Because most of the time when you are with your spouse at home, you are the one that sees all the weaknesses. You are the one living with your spouse. So because you are living together and you see everything all of the time, the relationship you are going to have with your spouse will be what I would call ambidextrous. What I mean by that, your spouse is somebody you love so much, and it's also somebody you can quickly get irritated with so much. Why? Because you are living together and you see all the weaknesses and all the tendencies and all those things. It comes together as one package. All right. Meanwhile, the colleague at work or the secretary or the lady friend who is at work does not see all those things. The only thing she sees is a man that is responsible at work, or maybe funny, or whatever case may be, while what he sees in that lady friend or colleague or whoever the lady is, it's somebody who does not argue, especially when she's a subordinate. So he says, I want these files on my table. She brings the files to the table without any argument. Whereas at home with your wife, bring this, the other say, what do you mean? Let's assume the husband says, bring me, please, can I have a bottle of malt there? So the wife can say, no, you are not taking malt tonight. That's too much sugar for you. You are not taking it. So if one is not careful, the man gets used to somebody who is resisting him at home, and as against somebody who does what he wants. So in his brain, what is being communicated is there is this girl at work or colleague at work who listens and does everything he says he wants, and here is his wife or his spouse at home who doesn't. So it now takes a little bit more of intelligent recognition. The Bible says in Amplified version where it says, uh, live together with your wife uh, according to knowledge, deal with her according to knowledge. In Amplified version, it talks about having an intelligent recognition of your wife. So if you don't have an intelligent recognition that the role that your spouse is playing is not just to go around and do everything you say to the letter, but to also protect. And sometimes that protective tendency comes out as being disrespectful. But when you analyze and look at the nitty gritty, it's actually trying to protect our husband, which is also why the wives now needs to be a little bit, operate with a little bit of dexterity and a lot of wisdom, so that when you are saying no, your no does not come across as being disrespectful, but then at the end of the day comes out as well. Anyway, she's trying to protect me. So this intelligence recognition of your spouse is now what stabilizes the marriage and helps to block off all the antics of the devil and all the loopholes that the devil might want to create. So it's important we understand this, that in marriage, yes, the man wants physical intimacy, the man wants respect. However, there will be some times that it will be as though your wife is disrespecting you, but it is not actually disrespect. It is actually because she is your wife, and there's nobody that can tell you certain things except your wife, because it's your wife you are basically living with. All right. So I want to believe I've communicated something. Thank you, Mrs. Onukwe. Thank you, Mrs. Kuforola. All right, let's move on. Moving forward, do we have any other contribution? Unmute yourself and speak. Do you have any contribution? Pastor Sylvester, what do you think men want? You're a man, so what do you people want? What are you people looking for? All right.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, people have different perspective to what they want. Personally, on a personal basis, I just want peace of mind. I don't want any form of drama from anybody. I just want peace of mind from my wife. If most times if we have any slight issue or any slight argument and it's beginning to escalate, I'll just keep quiet and let the whole thing die down. So that's just me. I don't really have the energy for drama and prolonging things, and I'm not the vocal or verbal type. I just keep quiet and just let things, die down or pass by. So for me personally, I just want peace, no stress. That's just my own thing.
Okay. So we have 3 things that we have been able to identify. Somebody can maybe put them in the chat section. Men want physical intimacy. Men want respect. And men want peace of mind. All right. So talking about peace of mind, you made a statement that when things happen, you just keep quiet and let things slide. Again, that may work with your wife depending on who she is. So that may be working with her once your wife is able to know that, okay, so my husband's silence is not because he's fighting me or he's disconnected from me. It's because he doesn't want stress and he doesn't want any problem. All right. Okay, thank you. Yeah, physical intimacy, respect, and peace of mind. So now So the question is, I'm asking everybody now, what has been your experience when your spouse keeps quiet for you? Either way, whether it's the man or the lady, how do you feel? What do you think? What goes on in your mind? Do you feel abandoned? Do you feel the quietness is strife? Do you think the quietness and the withdrawal helps? What are your opinions? Let me hear from everybody what your experience is like. Does that quietness, when an issue happens, does it work for you as a person? Whether you're the one that is keeping quiet or it is your spouse that keeps quiet, what exactly, how do you think it works? All right, Mrs. Kofowola, unmute yourself and let's hear it.
Okay. Yeah. So like he said, the quietness is just for peace. And the
Yeah.
peace is not everlasting peace, it's just peace for that moment. Actually, for me, the matter is still there. So I will join him to keep quiet so that everything can die down and we can communicate better. But deep down, I know that this matter has not been resolved. I mean, there have been cases where my spouse kept quiet, I kept quiet, and for years the matter was just there. So any small thing, any small anger, any small misunderstanding that relates to that matter, instead of one person between us to just get angry a little, we'll just overreact and we'll be wondering, is it this small thing I said that is making you so upset like this? But see, the truth is that that matter that we swept under the carpet just for us to be smiling at each other again, that was what caused it. So nothing was never resolved. In fact, until we resolved every single thing we swept under the carpet, that was when true peace true peace between both of us came. So that's it for me.
Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned a lot of very important things, which is yes, if there is keeping quiet or withdrawal to deal with a situation, there's a possibility of not actually dealing with the core issue, meaning that over a course of few days or few weeks, there's a possibility the issue is swept on, under the carpet. And like you said, any little thing will just trigger, another, issue there, because that's root. It's like a root anyway. That root issue is still there and is breathing there. It looks as if it's hidden, but it is actually still there. All right. So now so the question I want to ask the whole house, as we go on, is how, in your experience, when you keep quiet for one another just for the issue to be resolved, how are you able to do it so that it doesn't degenerate into strife? Because again, when it becomes strife, that will hinder prayers. And I think it's just a thin line. It's a thin line between the withdrawal syndrome and strife. So when there's withdrawal, how do you know that no, it's just withdrawal for peace? How do you know? How do you know it has not degenerated to strife? Do we have anybody who has something to say to that?
Yeah, yes, sir. For my wife now, the moment we have an argument or misunderstanding and I keep quiet about the whole thing, she will also keep quiet for a while. Then after some time, she just come and start touching me and start tickling me and just trying to get me out of my mood. And once she does that, then we talk about the whole thing, and then we resolve it. That's the way she has. I give it to her anyway. That's the way she has been, helping us stay out of strife. Because truthfully speaking, there have been one or two occasions where both of us just kept quiet about the whole thing for 1 2 days, and it wasn't a good experience. So she has learned over the months, or I've also learned anyway, when it's like that happens, she just come and she'll keep quiet for a while, but she just come and starts, tickling and start touching me and make sure that I talk and that I want that once she does that, we resolve the whole thing. So that's how she doesn't allow it, to enter into strife.
Okay. Okay, so that's beautiful. So we see that sometimes in every couple, that situation will be there. There will be that one person who is uncomfortable with keeping quiet for too long. There may be the other person who can keep quiet for Africa. So the other one who is not just okay to continue keeping quiet will have to make a move and make an effort to initiate conversation, because the whole idea is that conversation must not die. Once conversation dies, assumptions will take over. And when assumptions takes over, the devil begins to suggest all kinds of things. A lot of things that are not even existing will start coming up, and the devil will possibly take advantage of that particular situation. So that is a very, very powerful one there, concerning, how to deal with situations like that. Okay, so the effort must be made, and when an effort is being made by one of the spouses, uh, there should be cooperation from the other one. That is not the time the other one should now start posting and making things difficult till the other one that is trying to, initiate conversation now gets angry, and then the anger moves to another level and then degenerates to strife. I think every couple must come to that place of understanding, like Pastor Sylvester said, where you know what works for you and you know how to negotiate yourself out of strife quickly so that you don't short circuit the power of God and the anointing of God upon your home and upon your marriage. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I intend to make this conversation time short and not too long. The next edition will be on Thursday. We'll still continue with this topic, possibly because we have not even delved into it. But I think I enjoyed myself so far, and I think I've learned from you, and I think you've also learned from me. So before we leave tonight, do you have any specific question? You can raise your hand and unmute and ask if there's any question. If there's none, we'll be bringing this session to an end. And then on Thursday, we'll be coming together for another time. All right. I believe where we will end with on these Zoom sessions will be specialized interviews, talking to different couples, how they do things in their specific family, so that others can learn. That is where we will end up having beautiful conversation with specific couples. All right. Any questions before we go off? Okay. I don't think there's any question for tonight. So I want to appreciate you all. Thank you for joining. And I want to say you should have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night. Make sure you enjoy your spouse and have a wonderful time together. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful night.